have the unique opportunity to speak with Nadav Kidron, CEO, President, and Director of Oramed Pharmaceuticals in Israel. Welcome, Mr. Kidron. What brings you to New York?
Thank you. Nice to be here. I came obviously for the wonderful weather you got here today. But beyond that, the reason I came is that our company is traded here in OTC NASDAQ, and that's what brings us to meet with investors, to meet with potential collaborations, and so on.
How did you come to establish Oramed?
Well, that's actually an interesting story. I grew up, my background is I'm a lawyer, I have an MBA, but not so much in the scientific side. But my mother, when I grew up, I always knew that she's a scientist working in developing oral insulin. She told me, listen, we had a breakthrough, and finally, we got a technology that can enable us to deliver insulin orally. And based on that, I established the company. I got the intellectual property out of Hadassah, where it was developed into the company, and since then, Oramed went on.
So what exactly does Oramed have to offer to the world?
Oramed has a technology that enables us to take injectables and to deliver them orally. So just imagine that instead of taking a flu vaccine as an injection, you can take it orally. I mean, that's a real revolution. So we have that technology that enables us to do that conversion and allows us to take those injectables and to deliver them orally.
And how advanced is the research thus far?
Well, our leading product is oral insulin. With oral insulin, by the end of this year, the next few months are going to be very exciting for us because we want to file an IND, which is the application to start a phase 2 trial under the FDA in the United States with our leading product, oral insulin. And also on our second product, which is a GLP-1 analog, oral version of it, which is also a very popular drug for diabetics. We're also going to have news coming as far as results with diabetics also in the next quarter.
How will a product like the pill form that we are speaking about change the daily life of a diabetic?
That's an excellent question, because when we talk about diabetes today, it's an epidemic disease. I think everyone knows someone that has diabetes. What Oramed's technology can bring is a shift in the way we treat diabetes, because if we can give insulin in a pill form, what we're going to do is we're going to give it earlier on in the treatment. And that will change the face of diabetics, because it means they can be non-insulin dependent for much more than what we have in today's world.
And do you see this product as a major market changer in the sense of the role it could play?
Oh, for sure. You have to remember that today there are over 300 million diabetics out there in the world. If we can offer them oral insulin that will be taken earlier on during their treatment, it will be a total game-changing product, because what it means is that those patients are going to take it and be not insulin dependent, and that's going to be a revolution.
And in terms of the treatment, how long do people need to be on this pill?
Well, diabetes is a disease that's so common that I think depending on the patients, some patients will be on it for a little bit longer, some of them will be a little bit shorter, but there's no doubt that unfortunately almost any diabetic will come to use it in one point or another.
And what is the biggest challenge the oral pill faces now?
I think we are in a good point as far as not having a new drug. Many times when you develop the new drug, you don't know whether the drug is going to play out or not. In this case, we know that insulin works. Right? It's been around for almost 100 years. We also know that our drug delivery works because we tried it, Oramed tried it already on probably 120 different type of people and 1,500 dosings. So we know that works. But then you have the generic risks when you run a big trial in the United States or wherever it is, that everything plays out right. And that's always the challenge.
In terms of Oramed, on the business side, who is on the board of Oramed and who is involved?
So we were blessed with some of the top people in the industry. The chairman of the scientific advisory board is Professor Michael Berelowitz, who used to be the senior vice president of Pfizer, which is still the biggest pharma company in the world. We also have other well-known people such as Professor Avram Hershko, who won the Nobel Prize in Israel in 2004, and other names such as Jonah Matruda, who was the senior vice president in Merck, and so on and so forth. I would actually invite anybody who's interested to know more about Oramed to look on our website, oramed.com, and to get familiar more with the technology and with the people who are involved with it.
Great. How do you see the future of biotechnology?
In Israel?
In Israel and in the wider industry.
Well, we are in a challenging place because the regulatory approvals track has been very challenging as far as the amount of time and funds that are needed in order to get a drug approved. On the other hand, the encouraging side is that I don't think there was ever a time in the history that there was so much research going on and so many potential breakthroughs that are coming our way. I can tell you, being involved in the industry in Israel, I face every day new technologies that have huge potentials coming out of Israel. And I really invite the listeners out there to come and check out and to get more familiar with what Israel has to offer. Because the same way Oramed has the potential to change the world and it's on its way to doing it, I hope we're going to see more and more of that coming out of Israel.
Great. Well, that's very exciting. Thank you very much for being with us here today, and we look forward to hearing more about Oramed in the near future.
Thank you for having me.